Oh, coffee fudge swirl with Reese's peanut butter cups.
The combo of peanut butter and chocolate. Simple, right? Well, there's more to the peanut butter cup than meets the eye. Here are the top 10 untold truths of Reese's. Reese was real.
So real.
Just mentioning the name Reese's makes mouths water with the thought of their legendary peanut butter cups. But the name wasn't just a sharp marketing idea that happened to rhyme with pieces. H.B. Reese was a real person and a genuine genius for coming up with this game changer. As a foreman at the Hershey Company, H.B. Reese was always fascinated by the candy creation game. He even took to experimenting on his own, constantly bringing home Hershey's milk chocolate to tinker with in his basement. Reese had success selling a pair of chocolate bars named after 2 of his 11 kids and branched himself out from the Hershey empire in 1923.
I quit pudding!
He founded the H.B. Reese Candy Company, complete with a Hershey-inspired factory of his own, where he was able to market a few of his creations. Luck would strike in 1928, and the chocolatier would be inspired to create the Reese's Peanut Butter Cup. The classic pairing was an instant success, selling boxes that held 120 cups each and charging 1 penny per peanut butter cup. Those pennies added up fast, and within the first 7 years, Reese had completely paid off the mortgages on both his house and his chocolate factory. And the pennies would keep piling up nearly a century later. By 1997, Reese's Peanut Butter Cups had climbed to being the 4th most popular chocolate candy in the country. Just a year later, in 1998, they were the biggest and most popular of all the brands manufactured by Hershey, and Reese's was valued at $350 million. And finally, 84 years after their invention, Reese's Peanut Butter Cups took the #1 spot in America's candy cupboard in 2012, with $2.5 billion worth of sales that year alone. Looking back, it almost seems too simple that 2 great tastes would taste great together. Hershey's Helping Hand.
Pretend I'm your child, Lois! Nutmeg, nutmeg!
Chocolate and peanut butter might be candy's ultimate flavor tag team, but it wouldn't be possible without a real-life team-up between H.B. Reese and another champion of chocolate, Milton Hershey. While Hershey's famous chocolate in the dark brown wrapper has a reputation for satisfying your sweet tooth, it's also half of the peanut butter cup equation. After starting a successful caramel company in the year 1900, Mr. Hershey decided to switch his focus to just one thing: manufacturing and selling milk chocolate. The first Hershey's milk chocolate bar was sold that year and was a major hit. Just 3 years later, the business had grown so much that it required a larger and more modern factory to keep up with demand. A new chocolate manufacturing plant was built, and it would be the world's largest candy-exclusive factory once it was completed.
We are the biggest.
It was 2 decades after Hershey's factory opened that employee H.B. Reese asked permission for Mr. Hershey to release him, and not just to quit, but to set up as a competitor with a rival factory. Milton saw the vision and let Reese go on the condition that all the chocolate Reese used in his new inventions had to come from his Hershey factory. The pair formed a budding business partnership between the 2 companies that was reflected in the peanut butter cup's 2 ingredients.
A gentleman's agreement!
Huzzah!
After years of working in concert, the Reese Candy Company and the Hershey Chocolate Corporation made things official in July of 1963 by finally merging their 2 companies into one. Just 6 years later, Reese's Peanut Butter Cups became the best-selling chocolate in the entire Hershey catalog, proving that teamwork does make the dream work. The science behind the success.
It's science.
The flavor friendship of peanut butter cups will forever be enshrined in the hearts and minds of candy connoisseurs. But there's a scientific explanation for why the taste makes you feel like there's a rocket ship blasting off in your mouth. The phenomenon is referenced to as dynamic sensory contrast and was explained by a food science professor from Penn State University in an interview. It turns out peanut butter cups operate on the same level as sweet and sour foods ordered at your local Chinese restaurant or the sweet and salty crossover of a chocolate-covered pretzel. The combinations overload your taste buds with 2 very different tastes at the same time. It's doubly effective when the texture works on the same principle as the taste.
Yummers.
With the contrasting feeling of the chewy peanut butter crunch with the smooth snap of the chocolate shell. A layman's term for the science behind dynamic sensory contrast has been termed the ice cream effect.
Who wants ice cream?
Ice cream.
Meaning something tastes so spectacular your brain forgets that you should eventually be feeling full when stuffing your face. That definitely explains why we always have room for dessert. If every science lesson was this sweet, we might have done better in school. The Reese's ratio.
Perfectly balanced, as all things should be.
The perfect combination of Reese's two main ingredients is what makes the treat so unique and enduring, but there are those who prefer one side or the other. Even though the combination found in the traditional peanut butter cups is in exact balance for most folks, some have drawn a line in the sand between having a preference for the chocolate or a preference for the peanut butter, and consider the other side a nice addition, but not necessarily the best part. In fact, there's been a peanut butter preference posse reaching back to January 1992. When Reese's first introduced jars of their own branded creamy peanut butter to supermarket shelves. However, due to manufacturing differences as well as different ingredients and the unavoidable fact of it not being paired with the chocolate cup, the best Reese's peanut butter still comes in a wrapper. For those Reese's fans on the peanut butter pursuit, back in 2017, a dedicated Redditor did the heavy lifting on measuring just how much PB is contained in each of Reese's variant products. The best bet is during special occasions, where the Reese's Easter egg contains 59% peanut butter, and the full-size Reese's Valentine's Day Heart has slightly more at 60%. In contrast, during the romantic season, the small-size Valentine's Day Heart packs the least amount of PB at only 19%. Maybe unsurprisingly, the undersized Reese's Minis are on the low end of the spectrum too, with each mini cup weighing in at only 28% peanut butter, compared to 72% chocolate casing.
Chocolate! Chocolate!
For now, we're closing the calculator app and declaring that math isn't important as long as they all keep tasting great. First time here? Well, it only takes a second to hit that subscribe button, so go ahead and smash it. Thanks. Movie magic.
It's a miracle!
Despite their peanut butter problem, Reese's Minis are still a popular choice, but there's an even tinier Reese's variant that has so much peanut butter in it, it doesn't even contain any chocolate at all.
What?
Reese's Pieces. And as much as they are beloved today, they wouldn't be as big if they hadn't received some Hollywood help. Early sales were good after their 1970s introduction, but it was in 1982 that Reese's Pieces would become permanently ingrained in American pop culture. Universal Studios and Hershey reached a $1 million deal to have Reese's Pieces featured in the sci-fi classic E.T. the Extraterrestrial, which was an instant hit in theaters that surpassed the original Star Wars as the highest-grossing movie ever, and held that record for 11 years.
Piece of art caused me to have an emotional reaction.
That's a lot of eyeballs seeing Reese's Pieces on the big screen, and it translated to an increase in sales that was reportedly as high as 300%. In more ways than one, Reese's Pieces really are out of this world. A piece of the action.
Reese's Pieces.
Reese's Pieces.
Oh God, please stop.
Product placement may have launched Reese's Pieces into the stratosphere, but Hershey's tiniest treat has made other sizable impacts on the company too. Originally introduced to Americans in September 1978, Hershey had spent years developing Reese's Pieces as a replacement for the discontinued Hersheyettes. They even use the same pellet-sized panning molds to shape the treats in the same handy size. With their familiar peanut butter flavor and Reese's branding, the candy shells that encase the peanut butter are coordinated with the colors and packaging of their peanut butter cup big brothers at an approximated 50% orange, 25% yellow, and 25% brown. While the pieces themselves exclude the chocolate portion of other Reese's variants, the success of their convenient poppable size eventually inspired Hershey's to give some of their actual chocolates, like Almond Joy and York Peppermint Patty, the Pieces treatment in 2010. But much like the popularity of Peanut Butter Cup, the original Reese's Pieces are still the flagship product, with over 4.5 million Americans consuming at least 5 servings of them every month. Size matters.
No matter how big or how small.
It's not just the little guys that can have a big impact on Peanut Butter Cup fans, with Reese's expanding over the decades to include peanut butter and chocolate in all kinds of different shapes and sizes, as well as limited editions we've seen for holidays like Easter and Valentine's Day, and even pumpkins for Halloween. The first step up from Reese's Pieces is, of course, the bite-sized Reese's Minis, and above them are Reese's Thins, which are the same width but 40% thinner than the original cups. On the heavier side, the king-size pack features an extra cup for a count of 4, and the Super King includes 6. The world's largest pack only has 2 cups, but they both weigh 8 ounces each. The half-pound cup burst on the scene in 2011, packing 227 grams of goodness into a single cup.
Objection! Unhealthy!
And for the health-conscious crowd, the sugar-free cup was introduced in 2003. An organic version of Reese's Cups hit stores in February 2021, and a plant-based version made with oats instead of milk was released in March of 2023. No matter what your preference, there's a Reese's for almost any taste. It's truly a World Cup.
It's everywhere. It's everywhere, Jonah.
The love for Reese's Cups is truly a global phenomenon, with the craving for the cups reaching far beyond American shores. Reese's is the top-selling candy brand on the entire planet, racking up to more than $2 billion in sales every year. They can be found as far south as Australia, sold in candy shops and grocery chains like Costco. They're also available to our northern neighbors in Canada, where they were the top-selling candy in 2019 and 2021. Reese's can also be found across the pond in the UK and Ireland and Europe since 2008. It's not just the sweets that have captivated the world, as Reese's vast catalog of other licensed products sold over $1.5 billion of global product in 2019. Profitable! In addition to candy, the company sells merchandise like hats and apparel, alongside trinkets like Christmas ornaments and Halloween decorations. And the foods outside of the candy shelf range from breakfast cereal to ice cream to baking supplies. No matter where in the world you live, Reese's has a fit and a flavor for any situation. The weird marketing worked.
My chocolate
is in my peanut butter.
It's doggone good.
Sometimes you gotta keep it simple, and it doesn't get much simpler than the combination of 2 beloved flavors working in perfect harmony. Unless maybe you're advertising that very invention. Reese's was already the best-selling Hershey product by 1969, so it might not have needed a heavy ad campaign. But in 1970, they launched commercials that would successfully run well into the 1980s. YouTube has several silly standard def examples of the simple slogan,
Two great tastes that taste great together.
always arrived upon by having 2 slapstick characters bump into each other to create the chocolate/peanut butter concoction. A debate would then ensue, with one person saying the other got peanut butter on their chocolate, with the other saying that they got their chocolate in their peanut butter. A little goofy? Sure. But effective? Absolutely. Instead of an outside-the-box idea, simply telling people that things they like are even more likable together would be a pretty hard concept to mess up, especially when those things are chocolate and peanut butter. A candy exchange at the stock exchange.
We want candy! We want candy!
We've all got those childhood memories of the houses that gave out crummy candy on Halloween, which is to say, some weren't even candy at all. Peanuts, raisins, black licorice, or heaven forbid, granola bars and fresh fruit.
Apple? We're here for candy!
The only thing more disappointing on Halloween was being told you can only have a couple of pieces of good candy before bed. So in 2018, it was Reese's to the rescue as they rolled out to the streets of New York City with a giant orange vending machine dubbed the Reese's Halloween Candy Converter Machine. Costumed kids could dump in their less desirables, and the machine would pop out an equivalent number of Reese's Cups. It was such a hit, the company estimated they pumped out almost 10,000 cups to relieved and satisfied customers. Delicious! There never was word of what happened to the crummy candy Reese's accumulated, but having a few more peanut butter cups in circulation is a good thing in our book. Contrary to what a dentist might tell you, free candy makes the world a better place, especially if it's the good stuff. Unwrap more great videos with a tap or a click, then hit that subscribe button and ring that notification bell.